To use Firebase, we have to add some code in the main function right here. So go to main dot dot and right here, make sure to paste this code. So I have already copied this code from somewhere and I have just pasted it. So you can simply write this code in your main function. The first line is this, and you have to initialize your Firebase, otherwise you won't be able to use Firebase. Now, when we are using await at the beginning, you may not know what await is at this point, and that is okay. I will explain to you later. But right now, you have to know that when you are using await, you also have to use async at the beginning of the function like this. So just add async. Now we have to add Firebase, otherwise it will throw error. If you remember, in the Android Firebase setup project, we have added this package Firebase underscore core. If you haven't added that already, make sure to do that. Now, in our main function, we will add the Firebase plugin. We can remove this line, we don't need it. Okay, now hit save. And then we will need another package to use Firebase database, which is called Cloud Firestore. If I go to pub.dev and search for Cloud Firestore, you will find this package right here. We have to install it in our project. Add it in your PubSpec YAML. Click save. Okay, done. So first of all, we will understand how Firebase database works. If you go to the Firebase console right here, you will see some tabs right here. And if I go to the build tab, inside that you will see that Firestore database. If you click on it, then click on create database. Click on next. And then click on start in test mode. Enable. Our database is created. Now we will click on this rules tab right here, and we will set the rules so that we can always read and write. And you can simply delete this code and write this code that I have just pasted. I have pasted it from somewhere else. You can simply use this code, and this code is basically saying read and write is always true. So in case we are just learning right now and we don't want Firebase to stop us in reading or writing in database, so just simply write this code in the rules and click on publish. Okay, now if I go to this data tab right here, this is our database. And how Firebase works, it works in collection. So we can click on this button, start collection, and we can give it any name. So for example, if I want to create a collection for the categories that we have, I will name it categories. Click on next, and then it will ask for document ID. I will click on this auto ID. It will generate some ID for us, and then we can create some fields. So if we want to create some fields for our categories, what are the fields we need? So one field will have this PNG images, right? And then another field will have just the text that we have. That's all we need for categories, right? So our first field is going to be IMG icon. You can name it anything you like. And the type is going to be string, because this is going to be simply the URL of the image, and the value can be anything. I will leave it empty for now. Then I will click on add field button right here, and I will create another field for the text. So I will name it icon name, and the type is also going to be string, because this will be just some text. So I can create a field. So our first category was food. So for the icon name, I will say it's food. And for the icon image, meaning this image right here, we can add a link. So for now, maybe I will add a dummy link. So I will go to unsplash.com and simply pick an image, right click on it, copy image address, and I will paste the image image link right here, and then click on save. And what this will do, it will create one item. Inside the category collection, we have a document. The document has unique ID. It can be anything. And in the document, we have one category, right? And that category is food. And we have the icon URL. Similarly, I can create another document. Click on this add document button. Document ID. Again, we can just click on this auto ID. It will generate the ID for us. The field, same as before. So the field name previously was icon name and IMG icon. We have to use this same name. So let us do that. One was icon name. Make sure to follow the camel case just like we did in the other item. And the second item was gift. And we had another field which was IMG icon, and type was string, and the value we can select another image. I will select this one and paste it right here. Click on save. So it created another item for us. Similarly, you can go ahead and add as many documents as you like. So what I mean by document is add as many categories as you like. So we have many categories. You can add more. So for now, I will just create these two. Our next task is to paste these documents from our application, right? So to do that, inside the controller folder, if you remember, we created a folder called controllers. If you don't have it created, simply create the folder inside this lib folder right here. So inside this controller folder, we will create a file, call it categories controller. Now the reason why we are creating this controller file is because in this controller file we will write all the logic codes for the categories. What I mean by logic code is the actual programming. So far what we have done in our other files, these are just front-end codings. These are not logical programming. Now we need to, when we are working with database, we will need to use the actual programming. So we will write those programming inside the controller file. So for the categories, I just created a separate file. Now I will create a class and name it categories controller. And inside this class, we will write a function to fetch the categories. I will write a function and name it fetch categories. I believe you already know what function is. If you don't know what is a function, you have to learn the basics of programming language. So in this function, we will fetch the data from Firebase. We have to write Firebase firestore dot instance dot collection, and inside this we have to give the collection name. Our collection name is categories, and then at the end use dot get to get all the data inside this collection. So what this line will do, it will give us all the data that is available inside the categories collection. Now, after we get the data, we want to show it in the front end right here. Now, we can put the data that we will receive from this in a variable. So, for example, I can create a variable right here, name it categories, equal to this, meaning when we get the data, put the data inside this categories variable right here. Okay. Now, it will take some time to get the data from the database. So, for example, the user's internet connection may be slow. Even if you have a really fast internet, it will take maybe few hundred milliseconds to get the data from the database. So what we want to say is we will write some other codes right here, okay? So what we want to say is don't execute the code below until you get the data from database. What I mean by that is we have to use async and await. So we can use await right here, which means wait until you get the data and then execute the code below. So if you use await, you have to use async at the beginning of the function like this right here. And now it will work. So when you get the data, put the data inside this variable. And after we get the data, I simply want to print the data and see what the data looks like. So I will simply print it. For now, hit save. Now, when do I want to use this function? So maybe what I will do when we are coming in home page, I will fire this function right here. So it will fetch the data. So what I mean by that, let us go to home page. And in the home page, let us convert this stateless to stateful. Now it is a stateful widget, and we are going to say init state, meaning when the home page is building or when home page is starting. In that case, do something inside this init state function. So what do we want to do? We want to run this function right here, face categories. So we can simply run that function. First of all, we have to write our class name. The class name is categories controller. And we can access the function like this, dot face categories, and hit semicolon at the end. Now if I hit save, and in the print, maybe I will write something so we can easily find it. So I will write categories data is, and then I will write our variable name like this. So it will be easier to find in the debug console. Okay, let us restart the project. When you restart our project, and if we go to the debug console, you will see it says categories data is instance of this. So that means our function ran, and this print function ran as well. And we can't see the actual data because it's in this JSON query snapshot format right now. If I write categories dot docs, so to use that, I have to use this in second bracket. Now I can use categories dot docs, and if I write categories dot docs and restart the project again, you will see, let me run this again, you will see now it is returning an array of data. So we have two data, right? Inside this categories collection, we have two document, and that's why inside this array, it gave me two data instance of JSON query document. You can see two of them, right? So I will show you how to actually show it in the front end. But before, let me tell you that when you restarted the project, if you saw any error, in that case, simply click on this red button right here, meaning stop the project completely, and then run again. Because this is the first time you are setting up the Cloud Firestore in your project, so it may download some files from the internet. So that's why you have to stop the project and run the project again, and then it should work just fine. So anyway, our function is running and we are getting some data. And so our data inside our array that we just received, we can see there are two instances of JSON query document snapshot. So if I want to see the first value, so this is the first one, right? This is the first one. So I can simply say in these docs that given the first value, meaning this was an array, right? So we can use the index 0, and in that index we have a field icon name and img icon. So the name is icon name. If we want to see the icon name for our first item, simply copy this field name right here and then paste it here. So we want to see the data we are receiving we want to see the first item, and in the first item we want to see the icon name. Now if I restart the project and go to our debug console, it didn't restart. Click on this button again. Now you can see it says categories data is gift. Similarly, if I want to see the second data, we can use index 1, and if I restart now, click on this restart button again. If it doesn't restart, now it says category data is food, meaning our second item icon name was food, right?